What's up, everybody? Christian Soto here for RedChipPoker.com, and we're back in the basement where we analyze hands in the lab. So I've been growing, or at least trying to grow, somewhat of a beard. I don't know if it's gonna work out or not, but supposedly you're supposed to not shave for 4 weeks at the minimum. I just started maybe a couple days ago, so we'll see how that works out. But nonetheless, I am here in the forum answering questions for you and everybody who cares to listen or gives a shit. So this question comes from Suliu or Suliu. I never get this name right anyway. I've answered his questions a couple times before. Never got it right. Anyway, so in this dynamic we're in a 1-2 game. We have 400. Villain 1, who our hero says is a tag, opens from the hijack and the cutoff calls, and it folds to us in the small blind with pocket tens. So what do we want to do here? I think that as a general, I think 3-betting is going to be pretty good. We want to 3-bet here with a good amount of hands, especially against somebody who's a tag. Also, given that they're coming from the hijack and cutoff, ranges seem to be a little bit wider. Tens are going to perform okay. So a 3-bet here is going to do very well. Also, if we call a non-0% of the time, the big blind is going to be incentivized to call given the price he's getting. So we're going to be out of position in a 4-way pot with tens, which doesn't necessarily deem that well. However, I think if you do choose to call here, I think it's okay if you're trying to sort of round out your small blind defend range, and tens seem to fall pretty well in that situation. So in this situation, our hero chooses to call, which I said is okay, right? And then the big blind folds. The flop comes down 9-8-6, 2 diamonds, and now we have a decision to make, right? So decision matrix is going to look like we can either check call, check raise, check fold, lead, and our hero here decides to lead, which I think is pretty good in a general sense. So this is what I'll say. So if the formation was maybe different, it would be more optimal to lead. So what I'm saying is, I think your lead is good in the sense that we do flop range advantage here. However, it's a little tricky because the formation you're doing it up, the formation we have is hijack cutoff versus small blind, right? So they're gonna hit this range pretty well sometimes too, right? Like they're gonna hit this board a good amount of the time, given that they're coming from hijack and cutoff. Those ranges seem to be pretty wide in a general sense, right? So if you were leading in this spot versus under the gun and MP, then yeah, of course, it's a really tough spot for them because they're not going to hit this board as often as you are. However, in this formation, they hit this board at least equally as much as you do, if not more, right? Because your small blind defend range is not going to have as many of these hands as the cutoff is, right? So you're leading against a range where you deem to have, at least in your mind, you think you have range advantage, which is why you're choosing to lead. However, if you're doing it in a formation where you're going up against a very similar range that you're trying to rep, it's not good. You're just going to run into it a pretty good amount of time. So I don't necessarily hate your lead. I just think that it all started from pre-flop, where you're probably in a really good spot to squeeze given that their ranges are wide, but then you don't squeeze, and then now you're trying to rep a range when their ranges are wide, but the ranges that were wide hit the board. See what I'm saying? Like, it's just like kind of counterintuitive. Now, do I hate your lead? No, I think it's fine. I think it's an okay lead. I think you're going to make less mistakes by leading. So I think it's okay. I don't love it. So, okay, it goes call. And let's see what happens here. turns to 5 of hearts. So that brings in all 7x, and it goes, you check, and it goes check check, which I think is fine given that it went call. I think that if original Razor was the only one who called, then I would just barrel this turn card. Given that we have more 7x than he does, and we're just gonna rep range here, and I'm just gonna barrel through this card. But when it goes call, especially from cutoff, it's gonna be pretty tough for you to barrel through this card because you're just gonna run into it, especially from cutoff. So I think that I think I like your check, but I would advise you that if it just goes one call, especially from OR, that you should just barrel turn. River's a deuce, and you check. Villain 1 bets, and villain 2 folds. So it's like a size spot, honestly. Like I think that the pot's like pretty protected in a way where like I don't think he's bluffing enough of the time here. So I'll probably just fold. And yeah. So I think you played the hand okay. I just think the formations in the hand are important to note and might change your thought process going forward. So do I hate the way you played your hand? No. Do I love the way you played your hand? No. I'm kind of whatever about your freaking hand right now. So anyway, I hope you understand like what I meant by formations and what they mean and how your lines are going to change depending on them. So that's really what I wanted to get into. Everything else is really so I don't really care. So alright, I hope you got something out of that little piece, and I'll try to keep growing my beard and stuff. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.